Hi, so basically this is my first ever book review. It's probably going to be horrible because it's my first one, but yeah, let's go. Okay, so the book I read was Divergent by Veronica Roth, and it was one of the best books I read this year, actually. And so the book starts off where there's this society's divided into 5 different factions. 5 factions were abnegation the selfless, dauntless the brave, amenity the peaceful, erudite the intelligent. And each faction is like completely different. There's nothing alike in them. But there's people that aren't. They don't have a specific faction. They fit into all different ones. And they're called Divergent, which isn't a good thing to be in this society, because you usually end up being killed. It starts off with the main character, Beatrice, and she's taking this test along with her brother and all of her friends, and it decides which faction they fit into. Because all their lives, up until they were 16, they just stayed where they were born in that faction. But now that they're becoming an adult, they have to take a test to find out which faction they fit into. And Beatrice ends up finding out she's Divergent. But when she finds out she's Divergent, she doesn't necessarily know what that means. She just is told that it's not a good thing to be. So after the test, Beatrice has to decide which of the factions she fits into better. And she has to choose between dauntless the brave and abnegation the selfless. Abnegation is where she grew up her entire life and where her family is. But dauntless, she starts to believe she would fit into there better. She ends up picking dauntless, and basically that's where the story starts off. And I don't want to go into great details of what happens because that will give away a lot of spoilers, and even though I'm probably the last person on this planet to read this book, I don't want to give anything away to anybody that hasn't. So I'm going to stop giving you details there. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the characters. My favorite character had to be Four because he had this kind of mysterious thing going on. Because at the beginning, he was kind of secretive. He didn't tell us much about himself and didn't tell Trish much about himself. He just kind of held himself in. But as the story goes along, I get to learn more and more about him as he starts to like Trish, which is the love story of this book. The love story between Trish and Four is kind of complicated at first, but as it goes along, it's kind of a normal love story. I don't know if everyone's such a big fan of love stories, but I'm a nerd when it comes to romance, so I love the love story in this. Probably one of my favorite couples in books, Trish and Four. And yeah, so the love story was great. Now let's talk about the other main character of the book, which is basically the biggest main character of this book because it's told in her point of view, which is Trish, or Beatrice. But she changed her name to Trish in the beginning of the story. And Trish is this very complicated girl because she seems to have a hard time with not being divergent because it's just how her personality is. She's selfless, she's brave, she's all of these things. And it's kind of really obvious that she's divergent. So after the first chapter of this book, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to like it, but I decided to keep reading anyways because I have like this 50-page rule. So as I kept reading it, I began to love this book. So if you haven't read it, you should really get it because it's a really amazing book. I'm serious. One of the best books I read this year. Anyways, I'm currently reading the book Looking for Alaska by my favorite author, John Green. And if I like that one, which I probably will, I'll post up a review of that.